And now I invite Dr. Saghir Munir Mehar. He is Vice President, M&A Management Group of Consultants. He is author and researcher. He did his PhD from Northeastern University, Boston, in Education and Organizational Leadership. He has been a Senior Fellow, Higher Education Academy, UK. He has been a Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts and Commerce in UK. He has been a legal professional as well. He is life member of the District Bar Association, Sialkot, and member of the Lahore High Court Bar Association as well. Over to you, Dr. Saghir Munir. You will have to, yeah.
I'll unplug it. I've now recognized that my headphone doesn't work. So I need to change it soon. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner and the Governor General as well. Because we've heard a lot about the problems that we've been facing, let me move on to more objective discussion of like how we can solve some of those problems, and some of them which are actually not really problems. Let me just shift this discussion into three different levels. Universities, for example, to start with. Some of these arguments I've picked up, and I'm going to carry them forward, are actually coming from Mr. Shamas and Faisal, and of course from Dr. Chaudhry, Faisal as well. They were wonderful. Actually, their observation was spot on regarding some of these things. Let me begin by universities. For example, Shamas made a comment, which was that universities could have more partnership agreements with Pakistan on a practical level. Yes, they could be superficial as well, which happens for diplomatic reasons as well. But then we can have it on more practical levels. For example, last month we spent with a university that was willing to have its whole ESL program placed in Pakistan for Pakistani students. So by the time they reach Canada, they would have done almost 5 credit hours of their work within a program that they were to be admitted. Now that's a wonderful idea. So these kind of partnerships can solve some of the problems. Now we can pull these partnerships a little further. For example, let's say, for example, you can complete your whole semester while you're going through the process of applying for a visa within Pakistan. And I know there is a certain level of policy issue there as well with reference to immigration department. And I'm sure ICRA will take care of some of these issues that may raise at certain levels. But we have tried this experiment last year during COVID when students were studying one of their semesters in Pakistan. Now, that's another wonderful idea for progressing into their degree programs while they're in Pakistan. Assuming they do not get visa, then they apply again. This process does take time, but at least that time would be saved. In the worst of the worst case scenarios, they will have a full semester load already done with with transferable credits. What you can do while students are in Pakistan and are studying, let's say in a Canadian universities with an extended program, and since Dr. Amir is here, I'm being very reserved in my comments, and I hope Canador and Regina could pick up this idea and give a little bit of breathing space to Pakistani students in Pakistan doing their semester there. Let's say worst case, worst scenario, they do not get their visa and gets rejected again and gets rejected again. The Pakistani government can allow Pakistani universities to pick up those credit hours and put them in Pakistani universities from there. So they have actually not lost their chance, their space of studying as well. So they're not really, so one of the issues that we keep hearing from students is they're losing time, they're losing time, they're losing time. So this is something that could just safeguard their times. We have heard from 3-4 major universities saying that they can do that. They're willing to do that. But there are some hurdles, of course. There are institutes on the other side. There is an infrastructure development needed on the other side that can pick up some of these pieces. Now, there is a time difference that was there in common. I've been going through some of the comments on the side as well. One of the major universities, Trent, for example, told us they can work with time difference. They can hire people who can sit through night and do the whole ESL program in Pakistan while the students are there. Now, that's at the university level. We can, for the sake of students, really create some of these things on the other side as well. And this would be one of the solutions. Consider an opportunity as well. Now, we could take these partnerships to another level, where faculty exchange, research exchange, and a number of other programs could be introduced. So to build more, cordial, more friendly relationships between institutes. And I think Europe has done this experiment pretty nicely. Now, let me shift on to the student side. What we heard from the colleges, and I know you're going to hear this again and again, is the rejection reasons, rejection letters, and rejection letters. But we actually consulted with colleges asking, leaving aside all the discussion, I'm really thankful actually to Mr. Haroon for putting forward a lot, and I'm not going to get into that. One of the reasons that kept coming forward, and it was actually given to us as a matter of research by one of the major universities, was that the visa officers would say ties back home. See, students are intelligent. They know SDS. They know it's a mathematical process. There's a GIC, there's an admission letter, there's an IELTS score. There's this whole process there that's mathematical. And that's been designed so that you can get a visa if you have everything in place. One thing that kept coming forward was ties back home. Now, this is a question, of course, for Ikra to settle. For a student who's just finished his high school with no substantial experience, and it's by nature, by a natural idea, that's what he's going to have. The only tie back home is his parents. What we can do is to shift this idea from subjective to more objective. What constitutes ties back home? And this could be solved at that point. But more than that, I think there is a need for bigger partnerships to move the programs back home as well, for Canada or for Regina and many other colleges to start actually allowing students to study while they're in Pakistan, so they won't lose that time that they're going through. This is a major issue because our intake is usually 3 times a year. So if they miss this opportunity, they can shift into another. By the time they reach Canada, they would have already completed substantial credit hours and shift into next semesters, and they'll be happy doing it. There are some other challenges which we have not so far looked at, and I'm not going to take too much time, Your Excellency, trying to make it more objective. For example, one of the colleges told us that they filled up all their seats, but they did not have housing facilities for students. And housing being a major issue in Canada was not really solved. And another question sent back to Ms. Ikra. I think a lot of questions are going back to Ms. Ikra Khalid tonight. But there's another element. For example, Canada is like 4 hours drive from Mississauga or Toronto. And then there are many other colleges as well out there that student can choose. One of the other things that we did say, and I know Dr. Amr mentioned, was that students prefer going for a bachelor's and a master's and a PhD. And on the sideline in comments, I've been reading again and again, there are many diploma programs that students should also start looking at instead of just going for a bachelor's or a master's or a PhD. Now, those diploma programs are well designed. Please try to reconsider this idea that the only degrees available out there is just a bachelor's, is just a master's, or just a PhD. From amongst almost 200 DLIs which have PGWP programs available on their roster, there are millions of diplomas available where you can get admission, and they're all practical. They're designed to lead you towards the industry. They're designed to get you a job. They're designed to get you on your feet. So try finding that as an opportunity as well. I know there is another challenge that I think perhaps institutes are facing on our side, which is most of the students prefer going to bigger cities. So they will want to stay close to the DLIs which are in Ontario, Toronto, Mississauga. We see a very short influx of students going to DLIs that are far away from these cities. One of the major reasons is part-time jobs available for students. And to the max that they can only do 20 hours by law, they find that these opportunities are available more in cities. Some of these questions could be addressed by those DLIs which are far away from cities by providing students with some opportunities in-house, let's say, student working opportunities could probably solve some of these issues. And just to keep it objective, I just would like to thank, of course, His Excellency. I would make one more comment. There's a lot going on. And for some of my friends who think that we're not doing enough, believe me, your Governor General has had like 1 million meetings last month with universities, colleges, with teachers, with people who are involved in it. And I think just within the scope of last 2 months, Mr. Abdul Hamid has had like 1 million meetings over just this specific student issues. So there is a lot going on. Rest assured, people are fighting for your rights, and rest assured they're doing a lot. With this, I yield. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, and for all our participants.